is right now. Boom or live?
Boom or live.
Actually, it's really not that bad.
Not too terrible.
Nah.
All right.
That little thing's in the way up there, but I guess that'll have to do. What's going on? MMA Complete episode 73. Today is November 18th. We're 2 weeks removed from UFC 268.
Probably one of the best UFC fight cards there's ever been.
It really is. Like 267 and 268 were both spectacular. Coming up this weekend, we have a fight night between Caitlin Vieira and Miesha Tate.
Mm-hmm.
Co-main evented by Sean Brady and Michael Chiesa. That's a really good matchup. And then next week we got Rob Font, Jose Aldo. The week after that we have UFC 269. So we're in a lull right now because we're in a good spot where we can kind of put everything together and kind of talk about everything that's going on besides where we usually have. We're just talking about what's coming up this week, right? So we got a couple things to get out of the way. First of all, the UFC is taking its normal 3-week break after UFC 269, right? So after 269, there won't be any more UFCs until 2022, which means a couple things. One, it means we'll have some stuff to do. Those two things are the UFC Superlatives, MMA Complete Superlatives, second annual.
For the year.
We will be doing that. It really depends because in the last 2 weeks we got two things to do. We got to do the superlatives and we got to revise our rankings, and we got to do our pound for pound rankings.
Okay.
So that we can kind of split up into 2, maybe even 3 weeks if we wanted to. But superlatives, what do you think? Should that be the last podcast of the year, or should it be the pound for pound ranking? The regular rankings is the last podcast of the year.
I think pound for pound.
I agree with you. I think it should be rankings. All right, so let me look on the calendar real quick. We can kind of set this in stone right now.
Put it into play, set it in motion. Let's do it.
See, that's the other thing because me and Austin are going to miss a podcast.
Oh, in Minneapolis, huh?
So we leave Thursday at like 4 o'clock. So we're not going to do that podcast. But we get back. I might even do a podcast the day before. I don't know if you guys will be able to make it, but maybe we could do that so we can just keep things regular speed.
Okay.
But then we have... Oh, no podcast next week, by the way. Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
So
Big
next
Thursday.
week we won't be able to do it. We might be able to get something else in because the Rob Font, Jose Aldo is too good of a matchup for us not to say anything about it. But we'll figure that out when Austin gets here and stuff. So December 23rd and December 30th are the last 2 podcasts of the year.
Yeah.
So I think, and I mean, I would be open to doing like a 2-hour special for the rankings. Because the rankings are going to take a while, especially if we want to do pound for pound, because we don't even have pound for pound. We're going to have to do that on the fly.
True.
So if we want to do that, I would be down to have like that on the 30th, and then the 23rd we can do our superlatives. If you want, and we can see what Austin wants to do. We can see if Dylan and Mike want to come and shit like that.
I think that's a good event.
Yeah, I think that would work too. And it would also give us a week to kind of chill out after, or it would give us 2 weeks to chill out after 269.
Mm-hmm.
See what's going on there. Make sure you check out Fans Only Sports on Facebook. Check out Fans Only Sports YouTube. Go follow us on YouTube at MMA Complete Podcast, and go follow our Twitter at Complete_MMA. Our Twitter has been kind of dead for the last couple of days, but over the last couple of weeks, we've gained a good amount of following, and we put out polls and tweets about our bets and everything like that for every pay-per-view. So definitely go check us out at Complete_MMA. So before we get into what we're going to be talking about, don't worry about that. Mike actually drilled it in the other week, so this actually should stay for a while now.
Good shit.
Do you have any... And I'm going to mute it real quick so I can push this table back.
Sounds good.
Do you have any superlatives right now that you think are a lock? Knockout of the year, submission of the year.
Chris Barnett, knockout of the year.
You think that's fight of the
knockout
of the year?
Knockout of the year. Chris
That's
Barnett, spinning wheel kick at 5'9", 265 pounds.
He's 5'9".
5'9".
That's nuts.
Fighting in heavyweight.
I think so. I got 2 fights of the years.
Okay.
Volkanovski Ortega, I think, is a fight of the year candidate.
I'll have an argument for that after you tell me your second.
So I actually got 3. Now that I'm thinking of it, Gaethje Chandler deserves to have recognition.
Okay. It definitely does.
Actually, as I'm saying that, Usman Covington kind of deserves some consideration. I don't think it'll be up there because Usman definitely won the fight. It wasn't as closely contested as some of these others. Volkanovski Ortega, I definitely think should be. I think that's my pick for number 1. But I also got Prochazka versus Reyes.
Really?
That fight was crazy.
True.
Because both guys got rocked.
What about Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez?
I didn't even see the fight. I heard it was a ridiculous fight, though.
It was insane.
Yeah?
Holloway still hasn't gotten knocked down.
I'm gonna have to take a look at that because that doesn't surprise me.
I definitely recommend to watch because it was so creative. Yair Rodriguez is so creative when he fights, and Max Holloway's just such a fucking good boxer.
Right.
Like, he was amazing.
Okay, I'm not surprised at all to hear that that's in a consideration for the fight of the year because that is.
So I have an argument for your Ortega versus Volk.
Go, give me it.
So towards the end of the fight, Ortega actually started like gaining the steam for like a W. Like, let's say there were 7 rounds, I think Ortega could have copped it, but and up until those points, like the end of the third maybe, and after, even though that's like half the fight, Ortega wasn't really close to winning.
Mm-hmm.
He what was that? A unanimous decision with 4 out of 5 rounds going to Volkanovski?
I think it was, yes, but
I enjoyed it thoroughly, but it was more one-sided than you usually see a fight for the year.
Yeah, that's a good point, but there was just so many moments in the second and fourth round that Ortega had the
Those
guillotine
subs,
and the rear naked choke that he should have.
Crazy subs. Right. And the triangle.
And Volkanovski got the fuck out of it, and that was just so ridiculous.
Volkanovski is the definition. Jiu-jitsu doesn't work on me, bro.
Right.
Like him and Derek Lewis.
And now that I'm looking at it, knockout of the year, there's definitely some contenders, but now that I kind of saw it and I'm thinking back at it, Kamaru Usman's knockout of Jorge Masvidal.
Oh, yeah, that was
I think
picturesque.
that should be knockout of the year. Not only for the fact that it was just such a great knockout, but like it was main stage. It was a main event of a hugely anticipated
by a guy
fight.
who doesn't knock people out normally.
Right.
And a guy who's never been knocked out. That's a great fucking mention right there, Zach.
Shout to Tapology. That's what I'm looking at for knockout of the year contenders.
What about
Corey Sandhagen's flying knee of Frankie Edgar was one too.
What about Namajunas' knockout?
Namajunas is another one that deserves to be
knockouts.
Up there. Dustin Poirier knocking out McGregor is another one. That wasn't a crazy knockout, but it was just cool to see.
The first time we've seen McGregor get knocked out. So everybody was like, oh, fuck. Chandler had a great knockout, but not number 1 spot.
Right. That I would give it to Usman Masvidal, Namajunas Zhang, Sandhagen Edgar, and then a sneaky one would be Ngannou knocking out Miocic, I think.
Yeah, that one was just hard to watch.
Right. You knew what was coming.
Like, Ngannou punched him in the throat. I thought Stipe was going to
die. Can we see... Does Tapology do all of these? So we're just going to look at this real quick because I don't want to view any spoilers.
Yeah.
But while we're here, we might as well take a quick peek at it, right? Fights of the year. Volkanovski, Ortega, Gaethje, Chandler, Reyes, Prochazka. The top 3. Now, this I don't think has Holloway, Rodriguez yet.
No, it's definitely been
Sandhagen, Dillashaw was a great fight. Jan versus Sandhagen was also a great fight.
Mm-hmm.
Holloway, Qatar. That was a great fight just because of the amount of strikes landed, but I never thought it was too close of a fight.
It was too one-sided.
Right. And that's really it. Oh, Holloway, Rodriguez, they have it down at 18.
Mm-hmm. Wow, it was much better. I remember it much better than an 18 spot.
I do believe that Volkanovski Ortega will win that.
Yeah, there was kind of a wild, like the whole time we were like, whoa, it woke us up at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, it did.
So,
and that's how you know. Fighter of the year, that's got to be Kamaru Usman, right? Kamaru Usman was 3-0 this year.
Kamaru Usman, by the way, Zach, can we talk about that for a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Huge GSP fan here.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could call me a GSP dick rider.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like John Jones for you and Khabib for Austin.
Right.
So, I think Kamaru Usman's on the path to fucking become the greatest of all time.
I absolutely do. I think right now...
He's the best welterweight ever, I think.
We did our rankings of top 50 fighters ever at the beginning of this year. And if you haven't checked that out, go to our YouTube page where we did that entire ranking. That was one of my favorite episodes we ever did when we listed our top 15. Kamaru Usman's top 5 already of all time, I think.
Yeah.
Easily. If he's not, he's easily top 10. Top 5 is an argument. I think we had him at 7.
I think the diversity in his skill set makes him above.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that he's gotten even better at boxing at age 35, 34, whatever he is.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it's close for fight of the year. I think Kamaru Usman, you got Diamond Dustin Poirier. He's up there because he beat McGregor twice. If he can beat Oliveira for the title, he has a shot for fighter of the year. He does. Cyril Gane has a shot because he came onto the scene this year. Thug Rose could be considered.
Probably has the biggest argument after Dustin Poirier, in my opinion.
I mean, Kamaru Usman.
After, I'm talking Kamaru Usman, Dustin Poirier, then Rose. That's how I'd have it.
Okay, I can see that.
But Charles Oliveira, man, good for him.
Dude, I think if Dustin Poirier beats Oliveira, if he has a spectacular finish of Oliveira, I can see him winning fighter of the year.
Subbed Oliveira.
Especially with recency bias because it is at the end of the year, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, what was the last one? Subs of the year, events of the year. Tapology has all these.
It's got to be UFC 268. No, wow.
261. Usman Masvidal 2. Who else fought in this?
Oh,
that was the first knockout of Namajunas Zhang. Uriah Hall's crazy
leg check.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Anthony's, yeah, this is the one that everybody just got hurt.
Yeah, this was definitely not the number one.
I don't think it was, but I think that knockout of Jorge Masvidal was just so crazy. Mm-hmm. Or was this? This was the knockout, yeah.
I'm Zach. I really think UFC 268 was number one. I do not know why it isn't up there.
I think 268 was crazy good. There was another one. I thought, what was it? 260. 260, yeah. Miocic and Ngannou. I thought this card was really good. Luka kicked the shit out of Woodley.
Yes, it did.
O'Malley knocked the fuck out of Almeida. We saw Miranda Maverick make it to the scene. This fight, Malarkey Worthy, was really good.
Abdul-Bar, yeah, he was. That was a good fight as well.
This isn't the fight that card I'm thinking of.
No.
257 was the first one of the year. Chandler Hooker
knocked out
Poirier McGregor. Really good. That's totally just a 2-fight card though.
Yeah, for the most part.
268 definitely should be up there. I thought 267 should be up there though too. 267 was really good.
In my opinion, 268 was one of the best fight cards I've ever seen. So in my opinion, it's number one spot.
We had the crazy front kick knockout from Marlon Vera. Like
it's
so much
14.
Shit.
What was this? Numbers not good enough or something? They sold out the Garden.
Volkanovski, Ortega, Shevchenko, Murphy, Lawler, Diaz was so much of a bust. Blades Rosenstrike was great for us because we won money, but it wasn't a great fight.
No.
Yeah, 268 should be way higher on this list. Way higher.
Maybe it'll just take time.
They have a fight night between Holloway Qatar as number 3.
Jesus, what?
Condit Brown, Li Jingliang, Santiago Ponzinibbio, DiCirico versus Buckley. I don't know, man. 268 should be way higher.
I really want to see the Kamaev come train get shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has beaten nobodies. And Li Jingliang. But then again, Li Jingliang, not that great. Not that fucking great for a number 11.
But he was definitely a ranked fighter, so that you could say he's not that great, but he is very talented. And Kamaev made him look like a fucking nobody.
Yeah, he counts.
All right, so that's just real quick browsing through the end of the year superlatives. Like we said, we do still have 2 more fight nights and a UFC pay-per-view before we can make those judgments, and you will see it at MMA Complete on our podcast from December 23rd. And then December 30th, we will do our revisions of the rankings and make our own pound-for-pound rankings to complete 2021 and get us ready for 2022. Right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we do get back, we're going to start talking about the fight nights coming up. We're going to start talking about UFC 269, and we might even get into our pod bet coming up for the next pay-per-view. And who knows, we might even throw a fight or 2 for the next couple weeks. Go check out fansonlysports.com. Go follow us on our Twitter at @complete_MMA, and go follow us on our YouTube MMA Complete Podcast. We'll be right back.
Dude. All right, we're back. Sorry. Funny meme. Funny meme. Had to introduce it.
Oh, and speaking of that, he's coach of the year, Trevor Whitman, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Khabib is probably number 2.
Yeah. Coach of the year, Trevor Whitman. Easy money.
Sewed it up.
So
easily.
easy money. But Khabib actually does fucking hold a pretty high spot.
He does. All right. So, real quick, Max Holloway defeated Yair Rodriguez last week by unanimous decision in a fight that it's Max Holloway's 5th fight in a row that he's landed over 200 strikes.
Yair landed over 200 strikes, I believe, as well.
Max Holloway becomes the first UFC fighter in history to land 3,000 strikes in the octagon.
Oh my god, that's fucking insane.
And he's 30 years old.
Yeah, Max Holloway's 29, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
He has still a career.
It's so crazy.
It is. And
Holloway's such an anomaly.
He is.
And so Max Holloway beats Yair Rodriguez. We know that Ortega just lost to Volkanovski, and let me pull up the rankings real quick. I mean, I believe that Max Holloway should have already gotten a 3rd shot. I can understand why they would give it to Ortega because you don't want to have this staleness of keeping Holloway Volkanovski fighting.
By the way, Max Holloway, 5 titles. That's fucking something right there. Yeah, they might be.
Let me see.
They might be interim, a couple of them, but there's 5 titles that he has won.
Oh, defenses.
Yeah.
Damn, that's better than I thought. Yeah, he was on the road for best featherweight champ of all time.
Until he got shut down by...
You could still argue he is. I mean, Volkanovski might be now.
If he beats him a 3rd time, Volk has to take that title, unfortunately.
Right. So, the next logical conclusion is if Volkanovski doesn't go to lightweight or something, which he totally could, is a Holloway Volkanovski 3, and I think they would both get paid a lot, so I think that's the next logical conclusion. I think we're going to see that sometime around April, May of 2022. That's going to be a great fight, man.
That will be. I'm excited. I really hope Holloway can pull it out. Volk deserves it too, though. He's
if Holloway beats
Volkanovski,
we might see a 4th.
We could just maybe 5-fight trilogy, 5-fight fucking series.
Oh my god,
I don't want to see that.
I still believe that Holloway won the 2nd fight.
A lot of people do.
Right. So yeah, that's the future of the featherweight division. And to be honest with you, there's not a whole lot going on besides that. You got Ortega, who just lost. Yair Rodriguez, who just lost. Chan Sung Jung, who just lost to Ortega not too long ago, earlier this year.
Yeah, he did.
You have Calvin Kattar, who's still on medical suspension from his war with Holloway.
Max Holloway gave Calvin Kattar permanent injuries. You know what?
You got Giga Chikadze. That's a name that we will talk about in 2022.
He is looking good.
He's really good. He's one of the best kickboxers in the UFC right now.
What he did to Edson Barboza?
Yeah, what he did to Cub Swanson. Giga Chikadze is for real.
Bryce Mitchell's
still down there, yep.
That guy, I'm telling you guys, watch out for him. He broke his hand his last fight and still won. Unanimous decision, 3-round fight with, what's his name? The fucking super fast kid. Adrian Yanez. Yeah, he's not on this list anymore, but he's known as a gatekeeper for the top 15 in that division.
I can't remember who it was either. But anyway, coming up this week, Caitlin Vieira versus Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate in her 2nd fight back since 2017.
Miesha Tate the underdog.
Miesha Tate the big underdog. Actually, not the big underdog. It's almost even. I'm thinking of a different fight. Miesha Tate, I believe, is fighting in bantamweight. Miesha Tate is fighting in bantamweight. So you got Miesha Tate, who's number 8 in bantamweight, and you got Caitlin Vieira, who's number 7.
Mm-hmm.
If Miesha Tate could beat Caitlin Vieira and maybe get another win, she will fight Amanda Nunes again. Which I'm sure the UFC wants because that's 2 super marketable women going after the title.
With history.
Miesha Tate was the bantamweight champion, beat Holly Holm in 2016 until she ran into Amanda Nunes.
Yeah.
That's who Amanda Nunes got the title from. So that would set up something really cool. So that's going to be this weekend.
Nunes has also taken the skull of Ronda Rousey.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Did she beat Cyborg?
She's beaten Cyborg twice. She beat Shevchenko twice. She beat Holly Holm. We saw her beat Juliana Pena already. We saw her beat Megan Anderson in 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda Nunes is beating everybody that's set in front of her.
She honestly might take the GOAT status. If you don't say, oh, it's because she's not fighting men, she really has the record to show it.
Right, absolutely. I think when we did our GOAT rankings, she was number 3, I think.
Yeah, no, maybe number 2.
I think it was Jones, GSP, Nunes, then Khabib.
Yeah, she was number 2.
It was. And then 5, I feel like we had Anderson Silva.
We might have, yeah.
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
We definitely didn't have Connor.
No, Connor was 10. Connor was our 10.
He actually made it to the double champ status. Like,
Right.
when you hold 2 belts in
The
2
first
separate weight
double champ.
classes, he really was. The double champ don't take no shit.
Double champ does what the fuck he wants. I'd like to take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Such a good.
And in the co-main
mark.
event of this weekend, we have a really interesting fight: Michael Chiesa versus Sean Brady. Michael Chiesa, a great wrestler who had his ups and downs at lightweight. Since coming up to welterweight, he's 4-1. His only loss was against Vicente Luque. Luque, obviously the number 3 ranked welterweight right now, one of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fight that Chiesa was winning until Luque just caught him in a Darce choke right in the middle of the round in a scramble. So it was a fight that Chiesa really could have won. He just got caught. So I am definitely taking Chiesa in this fight against Sean Brady. I get Sean Brady's new and he's 14-0.
And he's a hype train. Not a hype train per se, but 14-0 automatically gives you some hype.
Right. And so he is going to be... This is a huge test for Sean Brady. And I think for Michael Chiesa, it's just getting back on track.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as Michael Chiesa can go to the ground like he wants to, I think Chiesa's going to walk out very, very easily. Maybe not very easily, but I think that this will be a unanimous decision win. If not a submission for Michael Chiesa, honestly. And he's the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of underdogs, our boy, a fighter that we have loved to love and root for and bet on for MMA Complete, Jose Aldo, is fighting 2 weeks from now against Rob Font. And that is a super interesting fight, man. That is what, number 4 and 5, or number 3 and 4, respectively, in the bantamweight division? It's number 4 and 5. Rob Font, number 4, Jose Aldo, number 5. And I think the winner of this will overtake Corey Sandhagen at number 3. Could even overtake Dillashaw, too.
Yeah, he really could. If he beats Aldo in fucking spectacular performance, Aldo's enough to fucking pass.
The bantamweight division is so great right now.
It is.
So great.
Look at those names.
Right.
Look at number 10. Dominic fucking Cruz.
Dude, Dominic Cruz is fighting Pedro Munoz at UFC 269.
I'm excited for that.
That's a great fight, and I think Munoz is going to win.
I hope he can, just like to get Dominic Cruz is halfway out the door.
Right.
He's kind of like, he's been more focusing on his ESPN career. And
which I can't blame him. He's 35 now. He's a 2-time champ. He's one of the greatest bantamweights. For my money, he's the best bantamweight in the UFC's history. You got TJ.
Yeah.
TJ's there too, don't get me wrong. You got Cejudo has some claim to it too.
Yep.
But in the early days, bantamweight division was started for Dominic Cruz. And his wars with Uriah Faber and Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, he was a paver of the path.
Cody Garbrandt was the first person to beat Dominic Cruz, if I do remember.
Yeah,
correctly.
that had some great shit talk, that fight.
That was Cody Garbrandt's coming out party. Cody Garbrandt's head movement was on full display. It was ridiculous. Cody Garbrandt was like barely a year older than us when he won the title.
That's fucked.
If I'm remembering this right, the 3rd youngest champ in UFC history, I think he was under 25 years old. I think he was 24 in like 10 months or something.
Cheers, brother.
That's so crazy. How do I get into this? Oh, yeah, Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Who do you got?
Rob Font versus Aldo?
Yeah.
I definitely have Jose Aldo. I think Rob Font could really do it, though. As long as he applies the pressure to Jose Aldo and pushes him back, he will knock him out.
I think Rob Font's going to try to take down Aldo.
He shouldn't. I think
Aldo's jiu-jitsu is really great, but Aldo's stand-up has been picturesque over the last couple of fights.
Let's talk about Jose Aldo's takedown defense.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking impressive.
Very impressive. And Aldo's going to come in bigger. Like, Aldo's just a big 135. You know, he was fighting a 145 for almost his whole career, and he was kind of big for 145. So when he went down to 135, it's ridiculous. Like, he steps on the scale at 136. He's probably coming into the octagon at 155. 150 at least. That division is really something, man. That division is so great. Marlon Vera, who we saw have one of the knockouts of the year, is 11 right now.
I know. Think about that. Frankie Edgar, 13.
That division is so great. Sean O'Malley's not even ranked.
True. Well, Sean O'Malley is taking low pickings because he wants to try to squeeze some cash out of Dana.
Right.
And, like, he is a star, but until you're fighting on, like, high up like main cards of fucking events.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get that much cash, man. It's the entertainment.
Oh, well,
business.
he usually is the co-main event. 269, he's not going to be, though. His last fight, or not his last fight, but the fight he lost against Farah was 252's co-main event. It was Cormier, Miocic 3.
True, but
that's co-main.
That was with the fucking guy higher up in the rankings. So
yes, it was. Marlon Vera was ranked.
Marlon Vera, by the way, fucking knocked the fuck out of
Frankie Edgar.
Yes,
he did.
I'm not sure if you guys seen the still shot for that. Frankie Edgar looks like a cartoon character. It is brutal.
That bantamweight division, that's going to be a really good one when we reorder. Make sure you check out our podcast December 30th at 7 p.m. when we reorder all of our rankings, make our pound count. I'm really excited for that. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for that. I'm honestly, I might even start doing that tonight.
Really?
Just kind of start fucking around with it. I'm making my own list.
Hey, give me some reference points.
I totally will. And then after that, so I have Jose Aldo too.
Okay.
It's going to be a really close fight, though, and people are going to underestimate the shit out of Rob Font because Jose Aldo's a bigger name and he's been making waves in that division. But Rob Font is a motherfucker.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a close fight. I think the Chiesa Brady fight's going to be also not as close, but it's going to be a great fight.
I think Chiesa submits him in 2.
I don't know if he submits him. I want to see Brady's ground defense a little bit more. I want to see his cardio because if his cardio is not great, that's when I think he's going to get in real deep waters in the jiu-jitsu aspect, second, third round. Because Chiesa can go. Mm-hmm. Chiesa can go forever. All right, that's going to do it for the fight nights. And then for the last card of the year, we got UFC 269 main evented by Dustin Poirier versus Charles Oliveira. And unfortunately, Jorge Masvidal versus Leon Edwards got dropped. We haven't heard anything about Leon Edwards fighting a replacement, possibly Khamzat Chimaev, but we haven't heard anything about that. We've also heard names like Nick Diaz being shouted out for 269. Only problem is the pay-per-view is less than a month away.
And Nick Diaz also just lost.
Right. That's a money fight. That's totally a money fight.
All day. But, my issue with Nick Diaz's loss is not that he lost. He literally couldn't finish.
He gave up.
He couldn't finish the fight. So,
all right. So elsewhere on the card, Sean O'Malley's fighting Raulian Paiva. Raulian Paiva had a fight of the night honors in August, and he's stepping up from flyweight to go fight bantamweight Sean O'Malley. Now, this is Sean O'Malley's either last fight or second to last fight in his current contract, which means that in his next contract, he's probably going to get paid more for each fight, and he's going to actually start fighting.
Dana better make sure he gets his money. Nothing crazy. Sean O'Malley's probably asking, but not asking.
Sean O'Malley deserves to make $300,000 a fight, I would say.
Yeah. If he's fighting on main cards of the pay-per-views, yeah.
He's a big draw.
He is.
And he has the technical prowess to go really far in the division.
And you do not want a guy like that running Bellator.
Right. No, exactly. No. You don't want him bringing names. I got Sean O'Malley versus Paiva. And then you got Cody Garbrandt versus Kai Kara France. Cody Garbrandt making his first fight in flyweight. He's going down to 125.
Really?
Never seen 125 Cody Garbrandt. He's always been bantamweight.
You don't expect to see them go down as the age just goes up.
Right.
But him and Jose Aldo both did.
Right. And Cody Garbrandt's, 28 now? 29?
He's still young.
He's only 30.
He's still young. That's insanity, Zach.
It's really crazy. Who we just talked about was Max Holloway. That's right. Max Holloway's just a little bit younger.
29 years old.
Cody Garbrandt going to flyweight intrigues me because Cody Garbrandt's number 8 at bantamweight. And you wonder, so Cody Garbrandt was originally supposed to fight Figueiredo.
Mm-hmm.
He was originally supposed to fight Figueiredo, but he got COVID last year, and that's when Alex Perez stepped in November's card of last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we haven't seen Garbrandt since, and so he's still staying at flyweight. But why do you think he goes down to flyweight? Is it because bantamweight is getting so much better, and Cody Garbrandt's fuck it, let me try to go to
I think he might want to try, not because bantamweight's better. Bantamweight is better. I think
pound for pound, bantamweight might be the best division in the UFC right now.
Very well could be if it's not welterweight.
I would say it's between middleweight and bantamweight. Lightweight too.
It's all so good.
Welterweight is just so top heavy. You're it's Usman and then everybody else.
I think it's bantamweight though.
It's bantamweight.
Mm-hmm.
Middleweight's really good, especially with Kamaev's actually welterweight now.
Yeah. So,
but lightweights, I would say it's between lightweight and bantamweight, but I think it's bantamweight. I think bantamweight is the most competitive and pound for pound the best.
And they say as you go lower in the weight classes, the skill level is higher.
Absolutely.
And I've heard that from Chael Sonnen. I'm not exactly sure why, but maybe it's because you have less power to rely on.
I think that that's what I would say in my uneducated opinion.
Yeah, same here.
Heavyweights like Ngannou when he first got to the UFC, he didn't have to be technical because he got the fuck out of
steamrolled everybody.
Right. And then he ran into Stipe the first time. He's like, "Oh, I have to become a fighter."
Yeah, I have to.
And then he becomes a fighter, and now he's the baddest man on the planet.
He took down Stipe.
He took down Stipe, and he fucking sprawled Stipe really well. He sprawled him, switched to backside mount, and just started beating the shit out of him.
As soon as I saw that sprawl,
I was like, okay.
But anyways,
Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou is going to be January next year, man. Adesanya Whitaker is set for 271 in February.
That's the most exciting fight I have coming up in my personal agenda. I really hope Bobby Knuckles can do it, man. He's improved so much over the last 3 years. So is Izzy. I think Robert Whitaker is more functional.
And I love the fact that Whitaker took his time. He beat Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, and
Kelvin
Gastelum. Sorry. Was that it? Was there one more?
No, I think it was just those three.
His last fight was Cannonier, right?
Nope, it was Gastelum.
Was it Gastelum? Okay.
But he did great.
Who was he supposed to fight instead of Gastelum? Was it always Gastelum? I think Gastelum stepped in.
Gastelum definitely stepped in. I'll check up his record.
I would love to see Whitaker Vettori.
Holy crap, dude. Vettori. Let's talk a little bit. I don't know if we talked about it on the pod. I might have missed it. I watched that Vettori versus Paulo Costa fight. Mm-hmm. With Paulo Costa coming in 30 pounds of 45 pounds overweight?
He weighed in at 205. He was probably a good 215, 220 at weigh-in of a 185-pound fight. So let's just say he came in 35 pounds overweight. Why not?
What the fuck? Dude.
I saw Paulo Costa land some vicious head kicks, and Vettori ate him.
Three head kicks. 3. Roundhouse to the shin to the dome.
Ate him.
And I was already kind of a Vettori fan just because he's Italian.
Mm-hmm.
But that, earned it for a lot of people, I feel like. Because, fucking Izzy said he's got a hard head.
I think Whitaker versus Adesanya will be a crazy fight, man. I think it's going to go 5 rounds, and I think it will be an early contender for Fight of the Year.
I think so, especially since Bobby Knuckles is so much more patient
there's
now.
So many fights. In the first 2 months of 2022, we're going to see Ngannou gone.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see Moreno Figueiredo 3.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see Adesanya Whitaker 2. And what's the other one? There's one more huge fight. What the fuck is it?
Conor versus
Conor. The MMA media just came out today and said that Conor's expected to fight in April or March of next year.
It's rumored he's been talking shit with Holloway.
Dude, he should fight Tony Ferguson. He should fight Tony Ferguson. What the fuck is the other fight that I was excited for in 2022? I can't remember it. We got the heavyweight championship. Light heavyweight's going to be in summer. Middleweight we got. Welterweight's not going to be till summer. Lightweight is going to be December. Featherweight is probably going to be... We could see maybe... That won't be February because Holloway just fought. But maybe a March we could see Holloway Volkanovski possibly. Bantamweight, we don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Peter Yan is
the
champion.
I'm not convinced. I've said it as soon as he won the title that Sterling is going to relinquish the belt. Or I think I said he's going to retire.
He probably will.
And I can totally see Petr Yan versus TJ Dillashaw before anybody else. Before Sterling gets back or is healthy or whatever.
Yeah, he got a neck surgery, which does, take time to heal from. But, bro, the belt can't just sit.
Right. So we could see Shevchenko.
Mm-hmm.
We could see Shevchenko in the first couple months. But in the first couple months of 2022, we're going to see bangers. We're going to see fucking bangers.
Amazing shit.
I can't remember what the fuck the fights are that I was thinking of. I'm going to take a quick Twitter break and look at it real quick.
I'll talk about Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Juliana Pena is such a fucking prospect, man. And then you hit the fucking Amanda Nunes level.
Right.
And which kind of sucks about the divisions that Nunez is literally conquering right now. And I believe if there was a 145, she would probably do that fucking too. 115 is just too slim for her. She's just not that natural build. Like her, if you put her and Rose Namajunas near each other, it's just a difference in physique, structure wise. But Juliana Pena, I think, has been looking fucking really good coming up. A lot of good words about her, and I think that she'll put on a bit of a show. I doubt that anybody beats Nunez though in the next 2 years of her fight career if she decides to fight that long. And she's probably the all-time GOAT.
Okay, so I made 2 mistakes. One, there is a fight night after UFC 269. December 18th is Derek Lewis versus Chris Daukaus.
Okay.
Co-main event is Wonderboy Thompson versus Bilal Muhammad.
Let's talk about Wonderboy.
Well, real quick, the
All right.
fight that I was thinking about that I forgot, that's also UFC 270 in January, is Derek Brunson versus Jared Cannonier.
That's big.
That's a huge fight because he got the middleweight championship the next pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And the top of the middleweight division right now is Whitaker, Cannonier, Brunson, Vettori. And Vettori just had a shot, so he might have a little time off. He might need one more fight.
Yeah.
So I think the winner of Cannonier-Brunson will be the next title contender.
I think if Brunson wins this, he deserves it.
I absolutely do. I'm a big Derek Brunson fan, man. He's another person.
Lon
2021,
mm-hmm.
He's another possible fighter of the year.
Yeah, he's been steamrolling.
He fucked up Shabazian,
mm-hmm.
fucked up Kevin Holland,
Terrence Hill,
and he fucked up Darren Till.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good year for Brunson to have a 3-fight win streak.
Yeah, that is a huge year. And the way he's been doing it, too. It's been pretty dominant.
We got Jeff Neal versus Santiago Ponzinibbio in a very interesting fight. So Jeff Neal should win this fight on paper. But Ponzinibbio in his last... I want to say he's another one of those guys that he was fighting around 2017, took some time off, and I think he's 1-1 since coming back. He lost to Li Jingliang, which is a bad loss.
That is a bad loss.
Especially in hindsight now. But he had a good win against an unranked fighter. I can't remember who it is. And now he's stepping up to fight a top 15er in Jeff Neal.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So that is Ponzinibbio trying to make a comeback now. He's 29-4. Jeff Neal's 13-4. So a huge experience factor for Ponzinibbio. But Jeff Neal is a bigger guy, in my opinion. I think he's going to be able to really put some power on Ponzinibbio. Mm-hmm. And I got Jeff Neal. And then the main event. What can we say about this main event?
That's going to be fucking awesome, Zach. That's all I can say about it.
Oliveira's first title defense.
Yeah.
I would say Oliveira's toughest challenge.
This is the toughest guy, by the way. Other than Oliveira, we don't know how it goes. Poirier is the proven baddest dude in the lightweight division alive right now. Proven. Just because of his record. You could argue Islam Makhachev, but he's not proven yet. Poirier is the proven baddest dude in the division.
Yeah, yes and no. Like Poirier's had some wars, and he's one of the people in the UFC's history that has beaten the most previous champs. Like he might have that distinction that he's beaten the most champs.
Yep, the proven baddest dude.
And he's been fighting since he was 22. He had a trilogy with Conor McGregor. He made who the fuck knows how much money this year.
Beat Holloway,
beat Gaethje.
Put up a fight against Khabib. Like
he was probably Khabib's toughest competitor.
Yeah.
In my book, Poirier and Ally Aquinta are the 2 toughest fights that Khabib ever had.
I never watched Ally Aquinta fight.
He went 5 rounds. It was it was like a 48-47 unanimous decision.
Wow.
Right. And then Poirier had a better fight, but then he just got caught in a guillotine. He got caught in a rear naked because Poirier almost put Khabib in a deep guillotine.
Poirier has a good guillotine.
Right. And now he's going to be fighting the best jiu-jitsu practitioner in the UFC.
Possibly
probably.
Ever.
Right.
Charles Oliveira might be the best jiu-jitsu practitioner ever in the UFC.
Right. And so, where the fuck do you go? Because Poirier is going to be able to box, but Oliveira has better boxing than we thought because he knocked out Chandler. Now, granted, Chandler might have been rushing in, but Oliveira's no slouch. He has he has knockouts on his resume.
And he has the power.
And he has the most submissions in UFC history.
Which is nuts.
Charles Oliveira is a finisher. And we know Poirier is going to go out there and want to bang.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take the under in this fight.
That's a good estimate.
Sorry. What is the under in this fight? Because
if it's under 4.5, you're
there's
cherry.
no. I
You're
think
cherry.
it's under 3.5.
That's
it
actually
might
good,
be
though.
2.5.
If it's 3.5, that's good.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's 2.5.
See, Oliveira, the way I see this going, if Oliveira doesn't shoot for fucking takedowns in the first 2 rounds pretty heavily, like maybe he could mix it up a bit with the striking just to get started. But if he tries to actually stand with Poirier, it's not going to go pretty for him.
I agree with you. It hasn't come out yet, but it seems like the over-under is going to be 2.5, which is, I would expect that.
Yeah.
I might still take that under, though.
I don't blame you, Zach. They're both finishers.
I've been trying to mull this fight over in my head for the last couple weeks, and I know I'm sometimes finicky about picking main events, about who I would say. Like, I usually say I think this guy will win, but I wouldn't put money on it. Like, I don't want to have that as my bet, but I like this guy.
Yeah.
And right now, if I'm just going by what I'm thinking and what I feel better towards, it's Oliveira. But I'm not willing to say one way or the other. And will I bet either of these guys' money line? Probably not.
Okay.
Oliveira's the underdog, so I might, at time of the fight, I might put a little on him, but I don't know, man. Like, Poirier's first title shot since Khabib.
True.
Oliveira's first title defense.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know where this fight's taking place, and that could be a factor.
Brazil. They might honestly put it in Brazil.
Because you got Juliana Pena, who's Brazilian.
And you got Nunez,
Julian Paiva's Brazilian. Amanda Nunez is Brazilian, isn't she?
Brazilian.
I think she lives in America, though.
That's definitely a Brazil fight card, though. Like Charles Oliveira, by the way.
Well, you never know, because we've seen a lot of that with Russia and China lately, where they just have a bunch of Russian Chinese fighters go to Abu Dhabi. It doesn't mean it's in Brazil.
Charles Oliveira, though, is literally a favela hero to the people, though.
Yes, he is.
Since he won that title,
UFC 269 is T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Charles Oliveira, man. Both of these fighters got a really good chance. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to see. Charles Oliveira's wrestling is such a big factor too, though, because he's not just a fucking jiu-jitsu artist. He's also a Brazilian wrestling champion, which is huge.
We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we get back, we will be having closing segments. We might even talk about a little pod bet that has to do with what I want to do.
All
right. So, yeah, we'll get right back into that when we get back. Pedro Munoz?
Maybe. Jordan Wright's pretty good. Jordan Wright's actually really good, Zach.
I like Jordan Wright, but I bet on him earlier this year because he was 11-0 and he lost his last fight. He lost his first fight. Was that Jordan Wright? Yeah, it was.
Coming off an L, though. Bruno Silva, 21-6. Why haven't we heard about him more?
All right, so Munoz and O'Malley. I'm going to put O'Malley on it. But Munoz is a possible. All right. So we have 3 possibles and 4 definites. Because I'm taking Jeff Neal off because I kind of just convinced myself Ponzinibbio might be good. All right. Who's the one that I said? Oh, Munoz. So the pod bet, and now mind you, anybody watching, you are
at risk.
No, you're not at risk. Well, you're at risk anytime you bet, but we have been really good with pod bets lately.
This one has a couple of question marks, though.
It definitely does. 267, I thought was really predictable. 266 was definitely predictable because we got every single winner right.
That was amazing.
267 was kind of predictable. 268 wasn't for me. Even though we did pretty decent 268, it wasn't predictable.
Yeah.
269, I think, is even less. I think it's going to be a great card. It might not have the best matchups, but it's going to have, I think, unpredictable fights, which will make the card a little bit better.
Definitely put Nunez on there, even if it's just for like a little bit of money.
But that's the thing. If she's less than minus 1,000, it might be worth it. If she's like minus 1,500, I'm not even gonna fucking bother. Because on a 17 parlay, she's still gonna make you like $11.
Sure.
And if she gets knocked out for some fucking reason and you lose a parlay because of a negative 1,500, I will punch myself in the face if Austin doesn't punch me in the face first. You know what I mean?
I sympathize with that.
And I wouldn't even blame him.
Depends what she's at, because Juliana Pena, kind of a bigger deal than the past two fighters she's fought.
Juliana Pena has really good jiu-jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
Really good jiu-jitsu.
I think Nunez has better everything.
I do too. But you never...
She's so vicious.
All right, so the pod bet. And now, granted, UFC 269 for Sportsbook RI, the odds are not out yet, besides Oliveira and Poirier moneyline. That's the only odds we have for 269. But right now, Michael Chiesa moneyline, Jose Aldo moneyline, Sean O'Malley moneyline, Macy Barber moneyline. Macy Barber's fighting on the early prelims against Aaron Blanchfield, and Macy Barber's been on a tear lately, so I like Macy Barber a lot. Alex Perez, Matt Schnell is also another fight that I want to look into more.
Matt Schnell, fast hands on that.
Matt Schnell versus Alex Perez is going to be a really good fight. A really good fight, and that's on the early prelims. And then what was the fight that Oliveira Poirier's over-under might get thrown in that pot bet.
Okay.
Under 2.5, might throw that in there. Although, that might be a great fight. That might go over 5. I don't know. We're going to talk about it. That over-under is going to be a tricky one. But so far, that is the pod bet. We got Michael Chiesa, Jose Aldo, Macy Barber, Sean O'Malley. Macy Barber's possible. And then what do you think about Derek Lewis, Chris Daukaus?
Derek Lewis, but that's not really like a hype fight to me.
No, it's not. And Chris Daukaus knocked the fuck out of Shamil Abdurakhimov, and it was because Shamil ran out of steam, which is what Derek Lewis is used to doing.
It could be a factor.
Derek Lewis probably feels fucking
awful after losing in Houston.
After being dominated in Houston.
By Cyril fucking Gane.
Right.
Like, this dude's no joke. Especially the way
he got dominated so bad that people had Cyril Gane as the early favorite to beat Francis Ngannou. That's how great Cyril Gane looked in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be an interesting fight. I might have Chris Daukaus.
I'd put Derek Lewis.
I definitely have Darren Elkins beating Cub Swanson.
Yeah, I'd say so too.
And I can't really think of any I want to put Garbrandt on the pod bet, but I don't. And when I think like that, that's what tells me all right, they just don't.
Let's look at the early prelims.
Early prelims, you got Muniz versus Duplessis. You got Barber versus Blanchfield. You got Perez versus Schnell. You got Ryan Hall versus Derek Minor. And you got Randy Costa versus Tony Kelly.
I think Ryan Hall might be a safe bet just because this is a bounce back. He's got a big fan base, and normally those types of guys.
And he had a really tough fight in his last fight against Ilia Topuria because Topuria is one of my guys that next year he's going to be a fucking force.
I agree. I
think he's featherweight. He's either featherweight or bantamweight. Either way, he's going to be top 10 next year. I really, truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
What is Ilia Topuria? He's 23 years old and he's 13-0. Ilia Topuria is a featherweight. He's 24 years old. Is that right? He's 11-0. And he knocked the fuck out of Ryan Hall by ground and pound.
Yeah,
he's actually going to be fighting in January against Movsar Evelev. Really? That's an interesting fight. Movsar Evelev is number 13. So that's a fight to look out for. Topuria versus Evelev. I gotta get my fights in check. I used to have a spreadsheet of all the upcoming fights. I gotta get that back going. Huh. Well, we've talked about all this. We've talked about our early superlative picks. We've talked about the fights coming up this weekend. We've talked about the fights coming up at the pay-per-view. We've talked about our superlatives. We've talked about revising the pound for pound. Do you want to have some fun real quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
I know you got your own thing going on, but I would love, and I hate to do this with Austin not here. Hopefully Austin is able to get here at some point and maybe chime in right at the end. But you know what I want to do real quick? And this is not official. This will not be of any merit. But to get ourselves ready for the next month, I want to do... Do you want to do 10?
Yeah, we'll do 10. Okay.
I want to do pound for pound top 10.
All right.
And, like, it doesn't have to be in crazy order. We can kind of talk about it just to get ourselves ready for what we're going to do in a month.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, let's do it. Kamaru Usman, number 1.
Kamaru Usman, number 1. For right now, because of our own rankings that we did at the beginning of the year, we're just going to do male fighters.
Okay. All right. Make it easy.
We could throw... I mean, women fighters in top 10, it's only going to be Nunes, Shevchenko, and Namajunas.
Probably.
And I would say in that order.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't really need to do that. And plus, top 10 for the male divisions, there's 8 divisions. It's a little bit more diverse.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is where it gets interesting. Now, we're not going to put John Jones on this list.
No, because he's been out for a while.
Right.
He's going to be out for a while.
He hasn't fought in 2 years.
Yeah. Francis Ngannou, would it be?
I don't think so.
What do you think?
I would say number 2 should either be Israel Adesanya
That was my number 2.
or Volkanovski.
Volkanovski.
I think it might be Volkanovski.
Yeah, just because Izzy only lost to Jan most recently.
Right.
Didn't have the best performance ever against Brickhead Marvin Vettori.
And we should really be looking at these lists too when we do this. So we got Volkanovski and we have Kamaru Usman. Now,
Peter Yan.
is Petr Yan up there? Now, I'm looking at this list, right? I would say for me, personally, Adesanya is next.
Yeah, number 3.
You good with that? I'm good with
Yes,
that. And we're kind of just running through this. All right. So hear me out, Mark. Hear me out.
I'll hear you out, Zach.
Because the next couple, I'm going to rattle off some names for the next couple, right? You got Francis Ngannou. You got Dustin Poirier.
Mm-hmm.
I want to throw Max Holloway up there.
True.
I think Max Holloway deserves to be the number 1 non-champion on this list. And I think
you got to put Peter Yan above him.
Yeah. Would you put Petr Yan above Francis Ngannou?
I don't know, man. Francis Ngannou just beat the heavyweight GOAT.
And Petr Yan had a tough fight against Sandhagen. That was a really close fight.
It was a good fight, but he fought him.
He did.
He did fight him.
Yan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ngannou hasn't been the most active either.
Right.
So
we got Ngannou, Poirier, Holloway. Glover Teixeira's up there. Jiri Prochazka's up there.
Oh, God, he's coming. He's coming. He's a scary man.
I would say Ngannou.
Yeah. And then Zach, I might be willing to put fucking Holloway there.
Holloway or Poirier? I like Holloway right now because Holloway's had much better fights for his last 5.
Yeah, he's done amazingly. Even his last fight, I think it was a UD, but it was a war.
All right. So next we have Poirier.
Mm-hmm.
We have Teixeira. We have Prochazka. We got Bobby Knuckles.
Oh, always got Bobby Knuckles.
We got Marvin Vettori.
Yeah.
We got Justin Gaethje and Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, Oliveira. I think you got to put.
Well, Poirier. Would you say Poirier or Oliveira?
Oliveira first. Just because of not because of who he beat, but just because he is holding that title and his record.
If we're putting Oliveira at 7, I want to put Poirier at 8.
Okay, let's do it.
2 more left. We got. Now let me ask you this: for a pound for pound ranking right now.
10.
Let me ask you this: pound for pound ranking right now between these 2 people, who are you putting number 1? Don't worry about anything.
Anybody else? Okay.
Just what you think.
Okay.
Prochazka or Teixeira?
Teixeira. He's on like a 5-fight win streak, I believe.
Okay.
Even though fucking Prochazka is a fucking animal.
I'm like neck and neck with both of them.
Yeah. You get for the favor of the champ.
All right, so we have Teixeira. We have Gaethje. We have Stipe.
Tony Ferguson.
No.
I'm fucking around.
We have Stipe, Gaethje. Who else was we just said? Teixeira.
Mm-hmm.
And
Covington?
Fucking Covington?
You did good.
So who's the best out of those four? Stipe, Gaethje, Teixeira, and Covington. I think it's Stipe.
Teixeira. I think it's
You
Teixeira.
think it's Teixeira?
Stipe just hasn't been active enough. It's a big factor.
So Teixeira's last 2 wins are against Thiago Santos and Jan Blachowicz. And frankly, I was never a huge Jan Blachowicz fan to begin with.
No.
And Thiago Santos has been on the decline. That's the only reason I'm hesitant to put Teixeira up there.
That's fair, but he does have, I think he is on a streak.
He definitely is on a streak. It's at least 4. And Stipe hasn't had a win in over a year. So I can cross him off too.
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, Glover Teixeira is on a 6-fight win streak.
All right, I'll put Teixeira at 9. That's fair. All right, so I'm going to give you 3 names. I'm going to give you my 3 names for number 10, and I'm going to let you pick number 10.
All right.
Okay?
That sounds good.
Stipe.
Okay.
Covington.
Whitaker?
I was thinking Whitaker. It's between Whitaker and Gaethje for me.
Dude, that's good.
I'm going to say Whitaker. I'm
Yeah.
going to say Whitaker, Miocic, and Covington.
I think Whitaker beats out Covington. Stipe just not active enough.
Mhm.
So I'm going to say Bobby Knox.
Okay. So this is not official. This is going to be probably really different, especially when we get Austin in here to talk about it. He's going to want Islam Makhachev on the top 10, I'm sure.
He is going to want him.
And I can't really defeat him that much on it because we're gonna have to do our division. Now, when we talk about Poirier, when we talk about the lightweight division, I'm gonna need you here for these divisional rankings because you're gonna be the tiebreaker because me and Austin are not gonna see eye to eye. Because I'm not willing to put Makhachev above Gaethje, Oliveira, or Poirier.
And I'm not willing to put Comset above them when he wipes out some fucking other loser that he's fighting next. Like,
all right, but that was cool. I like that top 10. Looking at it real quick, I could put Holloway above Ngannou.
okay.
I don't know if I would, but I would definitely hear a side of the story to hear Jan going above Adesanya. I could put Poirier above Oliveira. And I could probably try to find space for Colby Covington up here. But we're going to be doing the top 15 pound for pound anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Let's check it with UFC's pound for pound rankings and see how close we were. UFC has Usman, Volkanovski, Adesanya. So we got the top 3. But here's where it changes. They have Ngannou at 4. They have Dustin Poirier at 5.
Number 5?
At number 5. Above
the current
champ Oliveira. They have John Jones at 6. We didn't count that. So they had Holloway at 6, which is what we had.
Why even put John Jones on the list? Just take him off of 6. He's definitely...
Oliveira at 7. Stipe at 8. Brandon Moreno.
We forgot about
We didn't
Brandon
even do
Moreno.
flyweights. Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo.
Brandon.
I wouldn't put either of them in the top 10, though. Competition, man. I'm sorry. I know flyweight is an under-respected division, but you're not fighting the best people in the world.
But Moreno just bought Figueiredo twice.
He did. And that. Brandon Moreno's a challenge. Here's my thing, though. They have Petr Yan at 11.
It's just because he doesn't have the belt. That's all that is.
Yeah, but Poirier doesn't have the belt.
True. What the fuck is the UFC up to?
Right. They have Glover Teixeira at 12. Robert Whitaker at 13. And yeah, that's everybody that we had. So they had Jan considerably lower.
Uh-huh.
They had Poirier considerably higher. And they have John Jones, which we didn't put on, which fucks up our list.
Yeah.
If we were doing John Jones on this pound for pound list, where would you put him?
Number 1.
Would you?
Yeah, he's the fucking GOAT.
What? I would not put him number 1. I think Usman deserves number 1 right now.
Really?
Are
we talking about for this year PFP all time? Oh, okay.
Current, not all time.
Yeah, I'd say Usman.
I would say Usman. I would put John Jones at 2.
I'd put him at 3.
You put him below Volk?
Yeah, dude, Volk's been going, dude.
Volk really has. If Volkanovski beats Holloway for a third time, that is
We're gonna have to have
fucking
another.
saying
We're gonna have to have
something.
another talk because this dude started. I'm pretty sure MMA at 23.
Yeah, because he was a rugby player.
He was. He always a bad dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was getting into bar fights every fucking
Right.
weekend. But
He's a hooligan.
yeah, exactly. But
He's a tough hooligan.
he is a fucking tough hooligan.
We're talking about Volkanovski right now, like we were talking about Usman last year. Just saying. Usman has taken the leap from could put himself in GOAT talks to firmly in GOAT talks this year. I really believe that. He made a step from like a number 10 possible all-timer to a top 5 this year.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we're going to say the same thing about Volkanovski next year. If Volkanovski can beat Holloway again, and if he could fucking move up to lightweight and possibly get a lightweight belt, Volkanovski is going to make his claim for a top 10 of all time next year. All right, so that's just a little taste of what you guys are going to get December 30th when we do our own rankings complete for every division and for pound. We're going to revise them all. There'll probably be a 2-hour special. It'll probably be a good time. December 23rd, we're going to be doing our superlatives, so make sure you check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Next week, we will not be doing the podcast our Thursday night. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope
Cheers.
everybody gets some turkey and stuffing.
Enjoy.
And then December 11th, we are going to be doing our normal live stream. We're going to be live streaming from 10 p.m. all the way to 1 a.m. through the main event. Make sure you check us out for that. Go follow us on Twitter at @complete_MMA, where we're going to be live tweeting throughout the UFC pay-per-view. I'm going to be putting up polls leading up to the event. We're going to be talking about the pod bet that we're doing, which starts this Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be putting my bets in tomorrow. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Stay tuned for December. It's going to be a really great month for MMA Complete, and we can't wait to send it off into 2022 for UFC 270 and 271, which are promised to be barn burners right after the start of 2022. Can't wait.
Okay.
This is a great year for UFC. It was a phenomenal year.
It
for
only
UFC.
warmed up as it went on. It was
Really did.
it was
It
a
got
banger
better
from the
and
beginning.
better.
From the very beginning. Poirier versus McGregor, January.
Right. And now we're getting to see Poirier Oliveira.
That's awesome.
If Poirier can beat McGregor twice and beat Oliveira and end Oliveira's 9-fight win streak to win the title, fighter of the year.
Probably.
I think so. All right, thank everybody for tuning in. We are out of here. We will catch you guys. If we don't do a special podcast to do something for next week's Font Aldo, we will catch you guys. What would that be?
Later.
3rd? December 3rd, I think. Something like that. Stay tuned every Thursday night except for Thanksgiving. We're out of here. Thank you, guys.